Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, president of the ECS Publishing Group, and we are joined today by composer Kyle Pederson to talk about his newest composition in the Galaxy catalog. So welcome, Kyle.
Thank you.
So the newest piece that's just coming out is called Reconcile, and it's very, very interesting. Can you talk about the text to this piece and how you kind of came to it?
So I think the amount of division, polarization, anger, mistrust across our communities, I think it's something that we're all feeling and is leading to all kinds of broken relationships. And I think most of us can probably think about neighbors and extended family members who are no longer getting together and chatting because of mistrust. I think of school board meetings that are degenerating into shouting matches. I think of members of my own church who have left because of broken relationships and mistrust, based on all that's happened and all the differences of opinion in the past couple of years. And so the question for me becomes, how can we repair those broken relationships? How can we reconcile with people whom we have hurt or who have hurt us? So I think above all, I wanted this piece and this text to be something that would be maybe a jumping off point for conversation, that choirs or congregations or schools could maybe use this as part of the material to explore what reconciliation might look, feel, and sound like in their particular circumstance. And I wanted to make the text open enough so that people could find different handles and could see this text through the lens of different kinds of relationships or different kinds of situations. Just a brief example. Several churches and schools have reached out that they've been using this piece as a part of their examination of racial reconciliation. However, I've had a number of people reach out just in the last few weeks and have said that they're going to use the piece to explore the need to reconcile after a cyberbullying incident in their school, or about a homelessness encampment next to the church, or political polarization that has split essentially their choir in two. And so that really is my hope, that people would be able to find pieces of this that would resonate regardless of the kind of reconciliation that might be needed.
Yeah, it's one of those texts that I think speak to you where you are and isn't putting you where the text wants to put you. It's actually built in a way that you can apply to many different subjects. That's the beauty of it.
Awesome. And that certainly is the hope as well.
This is obviously came from a commission, and it's a big list of commissioning choirs. And that helped kind of form the piece in some ways. So there are several different versions, even not versions, but voicings of this piece, but they can actually work together. So how about diving into how the commission process worked, how it formed the piece, and then we can go to all the different ways you can buy the piece and use it.
Well, one of the great things about using the consortio commissioning platform is you cast a wide net and you never know what choirs might sign on. And in this case, fairly early in the commissioning process, I learned that the Nairobi Chamber Chorus in Kenya, directed by the awesome director Ken Wakia, was going to be part of the commissioning. And wheels started to turn, and I thought, I've written a piece in Swahili already. I love the language. It's a beautiful language, pretty darn intuitive as well. And so I reached out to Ken and I said, Ken, I would love to collaborate with you if you like the idea of adding an optional Swahili layer, a descant layer to this, that would not only allow choirs to perform and gain experience with this beautiful language of Swahili, but that might help better represent this universal nature and need for reconciliation. And Ken said that he would be honored to, that he loved the idea of collaborating. And he said, Kyle, if you think you've got division and polarization in the US, just wait until you come to Kenya, because we've got issues of our own here. And so we worked together to craft all sorts of phrases in Swahili that sort of illustrated the text, illuminated the text, and that can be found in the spaces of the English text as well. So that's a little bit about the commissioning process and one of the serendipitous results. The voicings, I really wanted this piece to be something that would appeal to a variety of choirs, from young children and children's choirs on up through senior choirs and all different sorts of kinds of singers. And so there is a unison voicing, a two-part mixed voicing, a treble voicing, an SATB voicing, and they're all meant to be sung, of course, separately, but they can all also be joined together. So you could have a children's choir singing at your church and then be joined by the adult choir, each singing their own versions, and it blends seamlessly. You could have a festival with a treble choir and an SATB choir, and they can sing together and would blend perfectly. So it's meant to be hopefully very accessible and very usable in that way.
And I think the text works for both school and church. I mean, you intended for it to be done that way. And so it's not necessarily an overtly sacred text, but it has the themes that we obviously deal with in church as well.
Exactly.
So I think it works equally well for school and church.
One other thing that I should add to that point is my hope that people will take advantage of including some optional narration. I love the idea in general of investing choirs and singers in those choirs as part of the co-creation process, so they can kind of put their stamp and let the piece speak in ways that they want it to speak to their particular audience. And there are two parts of the piece that I essentially allow the accompaniment to be looped. You can repeat it as many times as you want. And then for the choirs they could find narration, they could create their own spoken word, poetry, iconic quotes. And that also allows them to sort of preface the piece for the listener, whether they want to put a particularly sacred spin on it or a secular spin. They can do that through those optional narration.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And it makes it so personal to the performing group. So it's wonderful. Well, thank you for taking time to talk about this. And I hope people will go online and listen to the recording, and that they'll find this to be something that is very useful for their choirs and their communities. So thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. We'll see you.